long before the world spoke of final days, before prophets inscribed visions in sacred scrolls, and before seers trembled at revelations. There lived in the city of Miletus a man whose eyes pierced the veil of time. Thales, remembered by history as a philosopher, a mathematician, and a seeker of natural truths, was more than a thinker of his age. Beneath his calm observations of stars and waters, there lay a hidden fire, a knowing that stretched beyond the limits of reason, a vision that whispered of an apocalypse not yet written, a revelation forgotten by men, but inscribed eternally in the order of the cosmos. He spoke often in riddles, for the truth he carried could not be borne by the careless. To some he said, "All things are from water," and they laughed at the simplicity of his thought. Yet in secret he declared to a few, "As the waters give birth, so shall they one day devour. The flood is not past, it is always waiting. When the arrogance of men rises like smoke, the waters shall rise in answer." It was not merely philosophy. It was a mystery of the apocalypse veiled in words of nature. Looking into the fire that danced in the hearth, Thales declared, "There is a flame hidden beneath the earth, patient and eternal. When it breaks free, no wall shall stand before it, no kingdom shall endure. For fire does not only destroy, it reveals. It strips away pretense and leaves only truth." Those who listened thought he spoke of volcanoes, of earthly fire, but his eyes glowed with a different light, for he spoke of a fire beyond the soil, a fire of judgment and of revelation. When storms swept across the Aegean, Thales raised his hand to the sky and said, "Hear the voice in the wind. It is not chaos, but command. The storm is a trumpet, the whirlwind a herald. When the air itself rages, know that creation is speaking, and its speech cannot be silenced." In these words was hidden the mystery of trumpets that would one day shake nations awake, though men of his age thought only of weather and wind. In the heavens, Thales found the deepest signs. He predicted eclipses, traced the courses of stars, and yet he knew they were not silent. "The heavens declare more than motion," he whispered to those who dared to listen. "They are letters of fire, written across eternity. When the stars fall and the sun hides its face, it is not chance, it is the unveiling. Look upward, for the firmament holds the key to the forgotten end." And those words, lost to time, echo now as prophecy fulfilled in shadows and comets that tear the night. The earth itself was his teacher, and in its tremors he heard a warning. "The ground you trust is not eternal," he said. "It shall shake, and all your towers shall fall. The pride of men is no stronger than the dust beneath them. When the earth groans, it speaks of what is to come, the collapse of all things built without truth." Few believed him, yet when the stones trembled and walls cracked, some remembered and trembled more at his words than at the quake. And at last he spoke of renewal. "Nothing ends," he said softly. "What dies is sown. What burns becomes soil. What falls returns to rise again. The apocalypse is not the death of all things, but the lifting of the veil. It is revelation, not silence. It is the forgotten truth, that eternity waits beyond endings, and that what man fears as final is but the doorway to forever." Thus Thales of Miletus, cloaked in reason yet aflame with vision, revealed the mysteries of the forgotten apocalypse. His voice was not carried in scriptures, nor written in temples, but it echoes in waters and fires, in winds and stars, in trembling earth, and in the cycle of renewal. And though centuries passed, his wisdom remained, waiting for the hour when men would understand that the forgotten apocalypse was never destruction, but unveiling, not the closing of existence, but the eternal dawn of truth. Voce dis. Continuer. O ChatGPT dis. And the voice of Thales moved across ages, as though it were carried not by mortal lips, but by the breath of eternity itself. His words, clothed in reason yet born of vision, became like fragments of scripture scattered across the earth. Though men forgot, the elements remembered. The seas carried his prophecy in their tides, the fire in its relentless glow, the winds in their howling cry, the stars in their silent courses, the earth in its restless tremors, and renewal in its eternal return. Each spoke the mysteries of the forgotten apocalypse, for each was his witness, and it was written in the memory of creation. Thus spoke Thales of Miletus. The water shall rise against the arrogance of men, and the flood shall cleanse what pride has defiled. They shall not end life, but renew it, for baptism is hidden in the depths. The fire shall break forth, not as a thief, but as a judge. It shall burn away the veil of falsehood, and in its glow shall be seen the truth. For fire is the sword and the lamp, the destroyer and the revealer. The winds shall roar as trumpets, and none shall silence them. Their cry shall sweep through nations, tearing down walls of deceit, and their breath shall awaken even the slumbering soul. For the storm is the herald of what cannot be delayed. The heavens shall shake, and the stars shall fall. Darkness shall cover the sun, and fire shall rain from above. Yet in these signs is no chaos, but order, a message written in the firmament, a call to lift one's eyes beyond the dust. The earth shall tremble beneath the steps of men. Their towers shall crumble, their fortresses dissolve into dust. Yet from the cracks shall spring rivers of life, and the broken ground shall reveal hidden strength. For the shaking is not destruction, but awakening. And when all is broken, the cycle shall reveal its secret. For what end shall begin, what dies shall live, and what is forgotten shall be remembered. The apocalypse is not silence, but unveiling, not death, but eternity reborn. And the people, hearing these words in ages to come, trembled. Some mocked, saying, "He was but a philosopher, a man of numbers and measures." Yet others, gazing at floods and flames, storms and quakes, stars that fell and soil that yielded anew, whispered, "His wisdom was more than reason. He spoke as one who had seen the hidden scrolls of time." Thus the forgotten apocalypse was not forgotten forever, for in the appointed hour, when the earth groaned and the heavens darkened, the voice of Thales rose again, not in flesh but in echo, resounding through creation. What you fear as the end is but the lifting of the veil. Stand not in terror, but in awe, for the apocalypse is not the silence of death, but the hymn of renewal. It is eternity unveiled. And so, Thales of Miletus, though long departed, revealed what prophets would echo and what seers would confirm, that the mysteries of the forgotten apocalypse were not bound to doom but to the dawn of everlasting truth. Then the tale of Thales passed beyond the lips of men and entered into the marrow of time, as though the very stones of the earth preserved his words. His sayings became like fragments of a manuscript scattered across creation, waiting to be gathered by those who hungered for truth. The wise called it the forgotten apocalypse, for it was not written in scrolls of papyrus, but in fire, in flood, in quake, and in the silence between the stars. And so the testimony of Thales was remembered in the secret whispers of the ages. I looked upon the waters, and they spoke. We rise not to destroy, but to purify. The flood is the hand that washes the earth, the tide that baptizes nations. Fear not the drowning, for within it lies rebirth. I gazed into the fire, and it said, I consume, but I also reveal. In the flame is the judgment of pride, yet in the ember is the light of truth. What I burn shall perish, yet what I illumine shall endure forever. I listened to the winds, and they declared, We are the trumpet of the eternal. We sweep away the illusions of men, and we carry the voice that none can silence. In our cry is both terror and awakening, for we are the heralds of what must come. I lifted my eyes to the heavens, and the stars spoke. We are not silent stones of light, but letters written in fire. Our falling is a message, our eclipse a warning, our return a promise. Look upward, for the firmament is the scroll of the eternal. I laid my hand upon the trembling ground, and the earth said, I shake to remind you that nothing stands without foundation. Palaces shall fall, temples shall crack, but from the broken stone springs living water. In my groaning is not only death, but awakening. And I beheld the cycle, and it proclaimed, Nothing ends. All that falls shall rise, all that dies shall live. The veil of the end is but the doorway of beginning. Behold, the apocalypse is not the silence of death, but the unveiling of eternity. Thus the forgotten apocalypse became the unveiled truth, that Thales of Miletus had seen with the eyes of eternity what others saw only with the eyes of flesh. His wisdom, though clothed in reason, was fire from the altar of the unseen. He revealed mysteries not as one inventing, but as one remembering, for the apocalypse had always been written in the bones of the world, waiting for a voice to declare it. And it is said that when the final hour draws near, when waters rise, flames roar, winds trumpet, stars fall, earth trembles, and renewal dawns, the voice of Thales shall be heard again in the chorus of creation. And men shall know that the forgotten apocalypse was never forgotten, only hidden until the appointed time. For the mysteries of the forgotten apocalypse are not terror but truth, not silence but song, not darkness but the unveiling of eternal light. And in that hour, the veil between what is seen and what is hidden began to lift. The voice of Thales echoed through every corner of existence, not as a whisper, but as a chorus of revelation. The forgotten apocalypse was no longer an unseen threat. It became a living symphony, written in the elements and the hearts of men. The waters, the fire, the winds, the stars, the earth, and the cycle of renewal each carried a verse of his eternal testimony, harmonizing into a message older than time itself. The waters spoke first, relentless yet gentle. Rise and fall as you must, for every tide carries both judgment and mercy. Where pride is drowned, humility awakens. Where despair flows, hope returns. I am the mirror of the soul, and all who see me shall see themselves. The fire roared next, consuming and illuminating. I am the cleansing flame. I destroy not for hatred, but for revelation. All that is false shall perish, and all that is true shall shine. From my ashes shall wisdom bloom, for nothing perishes that bears the seed of eternity. The winds followed, a voice that could not be bound. Hear me, children of the earth. I carry the cries of the heavens, the laughter of the stars, and the whispers of eternity. I tear down what is empty to reveal what is sacred. My tempest is both warning and awakening. The heavens themselves spoke in silence and light. I am the canvas of destiny. Stars fall and fire rains not to punish, but to awaken vision. Comets burn to show the path. Eclipses hide to reveal truth. Look upward, and behold the hidden scripture written in eternal fire. The earth trembled beneath their feet, alive with secret life. I shake not to end, but to remind. Palaces, cities, and mountains crumble, so that life may emerge anew. In every fissure, in every broken stone, I plant the seeds of resurrection. Fear not my groan, for it heralds awakening. And at last, the prophecy of renewal spoke, soft yet omnipresent. All ends are beginnings. Every death births life. Every collapse nurtures creation. The apocalypse is not silence, nor despair, nor shadow. It is the unveiling of the eternal cycle, the revelation of what has always been. And men, looking upon the world in awe and trembling, began to understand. The forgotten apocalypse was never a curse to be feared, but a revelation to be embraced. Thales of Miletus, though long gone from the world of flesh, had already revealed the mysteries that would one day awaken humanity to the truth, that destruction and renewal are one, that fear is a veil, and that eternity sings even through chaos. Thus, the forgotten apocalypse became not the end of life, but the unveiling of reality, and those who heard the echoes of Thales knew that the world was both fragile and eternal, both fleeting and infinite. And so the world stood on the threshold of revelation, the echoes of Thales of Miletus, vibrating through every element of creation. The forgotten apocalypse unfolded not as terror alone, but as a tapestry of awakening. Those who walked the earth now saw with eyes opened, hearts stirred, and spirits attuned to the hidden patterns that Thales had long discerned. The waters rose and fell, shaping not only the lands but the minds of men. Floods tore through valleys and cities, yet in the devastation were found new rivers, fertile soil, and the seeds of life reborn. The people learned that the waters were not enemies, but teachers, reflecting both the sins and the virtues of humanity, showing that destruction carries within it the seed of renewal. The fire spread across forests and mountains, rolling like a living tide. Villages turned to ash and cities crumbled, but from the smoke emerged understanding. People saw that the flames revealed truth, the vanity of false power, the hollowness of greed, and the enduring strength of what was genuine. Fire, as Thales had known, was not annihilation alone, it was illumination. The winds howled and raged, unrelenting and untamed. Hurricanes, tornadoes, and gales reshaped the lands, sweeping away the detritus of pride and leaving clarity in their wake. In the roar of the storm, men heard a voice, ancient, unyielding, and eternal, calling them to awareness, urging them to attune themselves to the rhythm of creation and the subtle truths that had long been ignored. The heavens darkened and shone in strange alignments. Eclipses veiled the sun, comets streaked across the skies, and meteor showers rained fire upon the earth. The stars, once silent, now spoke in a language older than humanity itself. Those who looked upward perceived not chaos, but order, not punishment, but a revelation of the eternal balance, the cosmic pattern Thales had glimpsed in his meditations. The earth itself quaked, mountains trembled, valleys split, and ancient cities collapsed. Yet beneath the fissures rose new springs and fertile lands. Humanity realized that the very foundation of their world was alive, responsive, and teaching. Every shake, every rupture, every tremor was a message. What appears as destruction is also creation. What seems like an ending is but preparation for renewal. And at last came the prophecy of renewal, the culmination of Thales' vision. Life returned, not as it had been, but transformed. The waters, the fire, the winds, the heavens, and the trembling earth all played their part in the eternal cycle. Humanity, humbled and awakened, understood the ultimate lesson. The apocalypse is not a termination, but a revelation, a lifting of the veil, a vision of eternity, and the unveiling of hidden truths. Thus the mysteries of the forgotten apocalypse, revealed by Thales of Miletus centuries before their time, were fulfilled. And though centuries may pass, and civilizations rise and fall, the echoes of his wisdom continue to flow through the elements, through the stars, through the very pulse of existence. Those who listen will hear. Fear not what appears to end, for all endings are beginnings. Stand in awe, not terror, for the apocalypse is the unveiling of eternal truth. What is lost shall return, what is broken shall rise, and all that is hidden shall be revealed. The voice of Thales, carried on water, fire, wind, earth, and stars, remains eternal, a bridge between reason and revelation, philosophy and prophecy, mortal eyes and cosmic understanding. The forgotten apocalypse is no longer hidden. It lives in every storm, every quake, every star, and every human heart ready to awaken. And so, at last, the mysteries of Thales of Miletus found their final resonance. The forgotten apocalypse, once a silent whisper across the ages, became a living revelation for all who would see, hear, and understand. The waters, the fire, the winds, the stars, and the trembling earth had fulfilled their part, unveiling not destruction alone, but the eternal cycle of awakening and renewal. Humanity, humbled and enlightened, beheld the truth. What had been feared as the end was, in reality, the beginning of understanding. In the rising and falling of tides, the roaring of flames, the howling of winds, the fiery dance of stars, and the quaking of the earth, the voice of Thales spoke still. Behold, all that appears to end is but the veil lifted. Fear not the tempest, the fire, the flood, nor the trembling ground, for in each lies revelation. What falls shall rise, what dies shall live, what is hidden shall be revealed. Eternity unfolds, and you are witness to its truth. And the people, listening, saw that the apocalypse was not an end to be dreaded, but a dawn to be revered. They walked among the ruins of old pride and ignorance, and in those ruins they found new wisdom, new compassion, and the seeds of life reborn. They understood that the cycles of creation, destruction, and renewal were the eternal language of the cosmos, the rhythm of existence, and the profound insight of Thales, who had long ago looked beyond the veil and revealed the mysteries that men had forgotten. Thus the voice of Thales of Miletus echoed forever through the elements, through time itself, and through the hearts of humanity. The forgotten apocalypse is not silence, but song, not death, but awakening, not ending, but eternal beginning. Stand not in fear, but in awe, for what you witness is the unveiling of truth, the revelation of the eternal, and the eternal light that has always been. And so it was, and so it shall always be. The mysteries revealed, the apocalypse remembered, and the eternal wisdom of Thales shining through the ages, a guide for those who seek understanding, a beacon for those who listen, and a reminder that all endings are only gateways to beginnings.